The symbols on the outer ring are the 12 zodiac sun signs that most people are familiar with. However, the moon also has 27 star signs of its own, and these constellations now pictured on the outer ring are known as the Nakshatras. All of the celestial bodies above wander through these 27 divisions of the 360-degree circle of the sky. So whilst the sun signs are containers for consciousness to be born, the 27 lunar mansions or nakshatras are that consciousness. And personally, discovering the extraordinary and extremely complex and seemingly endless details, subtle nuances and tangible characters of the deities of the signs of the moon, ironically put the sun signs into the shadow in a big way. The planet located within a nakshatra at the moment of your birth indicates which aspect of your consciousness is being gripped hold of. In order for the nakshatra's unique stream of consciousness to pour through you, therefore by understanding each nakshatra's unique karmic identity, we get an incredibly important and intricate idea of how a person experiences the world inside and out. And by studying the symbology and mythology given to each nakshatra, we can see, when activated by the placement of a planet, how the stage for a person's life is going to be set. We can know the character of the driving force behind all actions taken until death, and we can perceive the nature and essence of the divinity which is expressing itself through the person. I therefore see the nakshatras as an infinitely precious method through which one can come to perceive within another person that which is usually a mystery, and actually become intimately familiar with aspects of human nature which we once may have deemed unfamiliar and strange. They teach us that even those with more undesirable tendencies can be sympathized with, that their soul simply has a different path to tread, a path, lest we forget, laid out by the very same heavens as everyone else. We are just different measurements of the same cocktail. But above all, the study these constellations gives is a powerful tool through which you can actually understand your tangible world experiences and quite literally translate how the language of time is spoken through the medium of light, from those little energy outlets that we call stars, which are fixed into the celestial dome and circling above your head, singing life into the world at every moment. The sun, the moon, and wandering stars always dancing onto the one song of the universe for all of eternity. My first words were moon and light. The love, passionate devotion, and the light that has been brought into my life by the signs of the moon means that those strange first words for a baby now make a lot of sense. This nakshatra mood board is to be watched with your physical eyes, but more importantly with your third eye or non-physical inner vision, meaning you must experience the essence of the people in the video and feel their energy as if you are a blank canvas that they can leave an impression upon. This is how you truly get to feel the force behind astrology and actually see the soul of a person. All of the people featured in the mood board are prominent Poorva BHADRAPADA NAKSHATRA natives, and thus all of the music you will hear, all of the video content you will see, is strongly carrying the essence of Poorva BHADRAPADA. Om Ajakbade Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. This nakshatra is extreme duality embodied, symbolized by a man with two faces.
Now I was raised in a sandbox next to you and her. You was holding a handgun. She was giving birth.
Like, I am a god. Everybody says, who does he think he is? I just told you who I thought I was. A god. I just told you. That's who I think I am.
Seen you on the news. Looked in the mirror, then realized.
Fuck. We are God.
You told me, don't be like me. Just finish watching.
The symbol given to this nakshatra is a lightning bolt, a sword, or a man with two faces.
And I run it.
The caste is Brahmin or priest. The nature is Ugra or fierce, and the sacred totem animal associated with this asterism is the male lion. And we can study a nakshatra's totem animal to gain an understanding of how the nakshatra functions in the people that carry it. Astrologer Michael Keneally describes the people of Poorva Bhadраpada like this: unique, eccentric, mystical, passionate, transformational, extreme, radical, indulgent, opinionated, impetuous. They must follow their own path to heaven or hell. They can be highly strung, idealists, non-conformists. They have a power to influence others. They're speakers, orators. They are intense. They show passion and ambition. There is a fascination for the dark side that is seen very often. There is a fascination for transformation. There's fire and warmth. They can be desirous. They can be strongly sexual. They're fierce but benevolent. This is a very heavy-duty sign. They're independent, self-reliant, sincere, hardworking. There's motivation to see sacrifice to a higher cause. There's motivation to make a difference to the world. They, at their best, can be deeply philosophical and have profound philosophical wisdom. They can be humane, hopeful, truthful, charitable, liberal, systematic, polite, very active. However, at their worst, they can have extremist views. There can be fundamentalism. They can be escapists. They can have iconoclastic tendencies. They can be angry, impulsive, anxious, critical, miserable, irreligious, mentally violent or unstable. They can have a tendency to plot revenge and persecute. They can be criminals. They can coerce others into their ideas. They can have a concealed dark side or a wavering mind. They can be nefarious. If they develop perception into the darkened light of their emotionally based conscious personalities, they will see the need to calm the lower self. And if they purify their darker sides, they can become devoted and very prosperous through their own cleverness. They are good at reading people and they can make money. But this fire awarded here should be used for raising people's consciousness rather than the vengeful tendencies they're known for. Some of the greatest feats and the greatest atrocities of our times have been conducted under the influence of this constellation. Its activity is creation, as it comes under the creative Trimurti of Brahma, the creator. But it is a Rudra nakshatra, so it also has a direct line of access to the fiercest form of Shiva. Shiva being Shiva the Destroyer, Rudra being the roaring god of storms. So people here have the potentially dangerous ability to utterly annihilate something or someone if they cross them, or do something to trigger the need for revenge that the more evolved native will have learnt to control and transmute into fuel for creativity. And this is the reason for its profoundly paradoxical and polarized behaviors and tendencies. It is awarded the symbol of the man with two faces because these two drastically different sides are usually well concealed, like beyond any suspicion. There is a strong intuition awarded here, which can even develop into full psychic abilities and prophetic insights and siddhis, or spiritual powers, which are incredibly powerful and thus dangerous in the wrong hands. So this is my website, and this is the page on Poorva Bhadrapada. And as you can see, I have laid out people who have this constellation on their sun, moon and ascendant. So you can see the crazy similarities in appearance. But more importantly than appearance is the way that you can see the nature of the deity or the god literally manifesting through the eyes. It's quite incredible, and I'll give way more examples of this in time with the rest of the nakshatra mood boards. But really, it's like with each nakshatra, you see the soul of the person through the eyes. And when, in this case, it's the deity is Rudra, or a Jaikapad, who is a one-legged serpent goat, or in the West, he's known as Baphomet. It's sort of beyond duality. This is for later. My point is, you can really see the deity in the eyes of the people, and it's incredible. So my favourite example for this whole thing is Vince Gilligan, there at the top, who wrote and created Breaking Bad, or as I like to call it, Breaking Bhadrapada. He is Poorva Bhadrapada, sun and moon, and every single cast member of the TV show has Poorva Bhadrapada prominent in their chart, which is crazy when you also consider what the TV show is about. Breaking Bad is a TV show about a man with two faces. Poorva Bhadrapada is known as a human nakshatra, meaning that it can draw from the angelic realms, or it can draw from the demonic realms. And this is a theme which we see in Breaking Bad, but it's also the reason for the extremes, which are then exacerbated by the activation of the Kundalini, which also happens in this nakshatra. And so the way that we see this play out in Breaking Bad is Walter White, the lead character, is very much an angel in one sense, and then very much a demon in the other. He has these two identities, these two faces. The entire show's foundational basis is centered around this divine destruction theme of a man having two completely contradictory and polarized sides. Another extremely important stage or point which we meet in this nakshatra is that of disillusionment and the divorcing from material attachment, and the struggle with money, power, fame. Here we understand our real motivations for the desire of these things. Breaking Bad perfectly depicts the struggle which is met when this asterism is influencing your life. And it perfectly depicts the tragedy that often comes with that dance between light and dark and creation and, destruction. Heisenberg and Walter White are a perfect example of the two extremes that can be found by people who are carrying the energy of Poorva Bhadrapada. I'll let this video do the talking.
Chemistry is the study of matter, but I prefer to see it as the study of change. Well, that's all of life, right? I mean, it's the constant, it's the cycle, it's solution, dissolution, just over and over and over. It is growth, then decay, then transformation. Hank, how much money is that?
It's about 700 grand. It's a pretty good haul. As I say, it's a good day for the citizens of Albuquerque when we can put this big a dent in the local drug trade.
What I want, what I need, is a choice. Lung cancer, inoperable. Sometimes I feel like I never actually make any of my own choices. I mean, my entire life, it just seems I never, had a real say about any of it.
Please put me to bed and turn down the light.
This last one, cancer. All I have left is how I choose to approach this.
Fold down your hands, give me a sigh, put down your lies.
Who is it you think you see? You clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
I was just a bad dream.
I'm the cook.
That's right. Now,
Let the bed
say my name. Heisenberg.
soak up my
You're
tears
goddamn right.
and watch the only way out disappear. Don't tell me why. Kiss me goodbye. For me the ever nor never goodbye. Neither ever nor never goodbye. Neither ever nor never goodbye.
What the hell is wrong with you? We're a family!
For neither ever nor never goodbye. Neither ever nor never goodbye. Neither ever nor never
You need to understand.
I have to hear one more time that you did this for the family.
I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. And I was really I was alive.
Tell me, about Poorva Bhadrapada. The most intense of all 27 nakshatras, Poorva Bhadrapada's nature is extreme, to put it lightly, and profound, to say the least. This most mysterious, mystical, and misunderstood lunar mansion is where all energy centers are functioning and engaged, and the Kundalini is awake and entirely activated. It's hard to imagine what that looks like, and the reputation for being an incomprehensibly mysterious enigma of a nakshatra hasn't been maintained for no reason. However, there is one distinguishing trait that is both easily perceived and endearingly noticeable, no matter the circumstance. Sincerity is the thread that runs through the natives of this nakshatra. Dedication to a cause or belief or interest has met no match until it is measured up against the commitment observed by these natives. Here, we find truly sincere and earnest characters who are in fact displaying the telltale signs of a good and strong soul, built on the foundation of healthy karmas from right action and good deeds from previous lives. Here, the soul is usually matured by experience over many incarnations, and finds itself this time around being born into a life that does appear to be full of good luck, but also full of discomfort. Meet the intelligent yet impenetrable mind of this magical rebel, disillusioned by earthly life but deeply anchored by a strong sense of desire, which is overwhelming to both the native and their loved ones. People with this nakshatra prominent, particularly as their ascendant, moon, or even sun, find themselves deeply moved by energies that stir from a place that's both intimidating in its force and strength, but also frightening in its hesitantly pondered origins. There does seem to be more at play here than what one would deem normal or human, and the very real forces responsible for this suspicion can empower the individual significantly. What is done with this is another matter. Great occult achievement is notorious here, spawning figureheads and icons in the esoteric, spiritual and philosophical fields over multiple centuries. The unbelievably relentless and ceaseless drive experienced by Poorva Bhadrapada natives may originally manifest as material desire, due to the close association with the Naga serpent gods and their luxurious reputation earned from eons of basking in all things opulent and indulgent. However, should this be the case, gain in these areas will always be tinged with a weighty and somewhat solemn awareness of the fundamental, empty meaninglessness of repeating these pursuits without dipping into the deeper pools now available for the Poorva Bhadrapada native to explore, even if this nagging, yearning potential is squashed below waking conscious awareness with that aforementioned strength and force of willpower. Instead, a more evolved example of a Poorva Bhadrapada native who may have initially been desirous of accumulating endless material wealth will instead move on to acquiring intellectual appetite, now chasing a hungry taste for information and answers instead. This can turn out to be a rather long and potentially painful endeavour that's committed with that same unwavering gumption until eventually the native arrives at their final bid for pacification. This time, the chase may yield results more along the lines of what they were really looking for all along. Now, their focus is directed towards appeasing and soothing a real and very deep desire for spiritual attainment, with the goal of finding peace through realization, thus achieving liberation from the relentless life and death rebirthing cycle that their soul no doubt knows too well. This new passion, however, also runs the risk of becoming an almost contradictory farce, as the yearning for this spiritual life, when done in Poorva Bhadrapada fashion, can become an overzealous, almost fanatic, obsession-fueled pursuit which in and of itself is just wasting energy on repeated, unsuccessful attempts to find a decent balance between one's necessary life force taxations and the energetic demands of endless, newly amped curiosities requiring a sporadic yet significant energy output. Meaning, there's a grave risk of missing the whole point of seeking a spiritual path in the first place, and simply being too overexerted to reap the subtle benefits of the fruits that are initially on offer to the spiritual seeker on their path to self-realization. Due to this requirement for calm contemplation of self-conduct, there is a profound need for privacy and structure. The privacy so that true spiritual development can occur without the hindrances that verbalizing and broadcasting these intimate experiences can bring. And the structure to ensure that the attention and energy available is being shared equally amongst all areas of life and not being funneled into one place so heavily and obsessively that it leaves other important, success-dependent areas to be overlooked or neglected. The symbol of Poorva Bhadrapada is a man with two faces. This illustrates the natural extreme degrees of privacy these natives maintain, often obscuring a side of themselves entirely beyond all suspicion or imagination.
No matter how many times I tell people, it's this, it's that, it's nothing, it's something, and it's up here. I don't feel comfortable telling you why I feel like that.
Whilst this can be an inhibiting tendency, it can be used wisely to protect and marinate on the spiritual life without those experiences being contaminated by external input or opinion. Should this necessity be understood and heeded to appropriately and wisely, the capacity for attainment here is extraordinary and unparalleled. The power of the energetic potential here is remarkable, but in its initiatory stages is very much new and wild, untamed and unpredictable. How well the person is able to harness and direct that energy will be directly indicative of the level of their success that follows. A remarkable number of archetypal character types, multiple, real legends of our modern times have been born under this asterism, and that is no coincidence. If you imagine the journey through the 12 sun signs from Aries to Pisces and 27 moon signs from Ashwini to Revati or Kritika to Bharani, as the long sojourn of a developing soul as it passes through the various testing and training grounds and examination halls in the university of life, then we can say that this particular pit stop is in many ways the final hurrah, the living magnum opus, the astrological place for those same egos who, after receiving all the gushing auspiciousness that Jupiter had to offer in Purnavisu and punchy character reinforcement from Vishaka, must now understand what true compassion can look like, as Jupiter introduces you to universal tough love, where all that went up now must come all the way down. Now we must look to surrender to the trials and proverbial tribulations provided by the universe in the various devastating forms of ego elimination, material dissolution, and of all the tricky tests usually encountered more so in the following nakshatra, Uttara Bhadrapada. This is the part where the ego comes to surrender itself entirely to a fate that promises death, but offers liberation too. Poorva Bhadrapada is where the babbling brook of Brihaspati blessings runs dry.
Like that. I just feel like if I say it out loud, then it would make it true, and then it would have to, something would have to go wrong. Like, that's just how it's been always. So it's like, if I say like, hey, I really need help. I'm not okay. I need someone, which is what's going on in my head. It's not gonna do anything but make me more aware of it and make me want to drown in a pit of lava even more, so.
Tell the mirror what she knows she's heard before. I don't want to be you anymore.
It's just, I've never said anything that I meant more than that.
The Zen proverb, let go or be dragged, is a perfect maxim describing the two starkly frank options the soul is presented with, and is no doubt the axiom responsible for fueling the storylines that often bypass belief but seem to pour out of this nakshatra, thus creating the one-of-a-kind personalities, the utterly timeless musicians, the tyrannical political leaders, ruthless serial killers, and martyred humanitarian activists that go on to be written about for years that far surpass their own. These people are eccentric, unusual, and difficult to understand. However, they are undeniably powerful game changers who follow the beat of their own drum, paving a new way for others to follow.
You must never feel that you are less than anybody else. You must always feel that you are somebody, and you must feel that you are as good as anybody else. And of course, this came up with me in spite of the fact that I still confronted the system of segregation every day.
Connected to something higher than themselves, seemingly shackled to the will of the gods. Almost like a mouthpiece for the collective. These people can also suffer greatly when they don't correctly channel their energies into the uplifting of primarily themselves so as to be able to support the rest of the world, but then into understanding and partaking in that understanding of there being more to this earth realm than what meets the crude senses, and that they are but a part in a greater scheme more marvelous and fantastical than they ever previously could have imagined. This realization is responsible for an uncanny theme I've noticed that's very often based around establishing and encouraging an acknowledgement and commitment to fully realizing one's own godhood in the way necessary for someone who is serious about assigning one's life path to the tumultuous and sometimes traumatic realities of spirituality and spiritual life, and who is now disinterested in the superficial and non-committal spiritual decoration that most people these days proudly settle with. This is where sidereal Aquarius turns into Pisces. Poorva Bhadrapada is quite literally the bridge between the socially aware and future conscious tomorrow world dwellers of the Aquarian spheres of consciousness, to the elusive and evasive rumours spilled forth from the realms of Pisces, where there is no such thing as tomorrow, only that which is mystical, and where all that resides within it is no longer of this world whatsoever. Poorva Bhadrapada natives reflect this aha moment, the strike of the lightning bolt, which spells hard and fast activation and an expression of higher consciousness. This is seen in the roots of the Poorva Bhadrapada natives' motivations, where all of the individualization cultivated in the sign of Aquarius is brought forth just to release it with the stark reminders this asterism promises of our fallibility and of nature's oscillating mercy, and how cruel it can feel when viewed from a stunted perspective, only to once again reinforce it with the lightning bolt that reveals the truth of life's mysteries with a glimpse of what we're all really made of, this time making the individualization a universal flavour, ensuring gnosis of the necessary surrender into the realm of Pisces, where all rationale must be disposed of and logic and structure are rendered useless. In the face of the divine mysteries and the gravitas attached to the pursuit of solving them, this is where we finally come to realise secrets that can only be comprehended and understood once this understanding and consequential faith-fueled leap into the darkness of the void has taken place. This nakshatra represents that moment of realization of one's true nature within the universe, the one song. And Poorva Bhadrapada embodies the fire that is ignited, fueling awareness of the path our souls must take as we are jolted awake and newly alive, with a divine electric bolt of kundalini light energy that serves as an astrological slap on the butt to encourage our souls with a tough, loving push and invigorating shove towards finally returning to where all souls belong, turning our faces from earthly life, away from all of its impressive but invasive veils of never-ending Maya, illusion, on the journey that we're all on, the journey going home. If we are to assign Poorva Bhadраpada a theme, one to look out for when observing energies running through Poorva Bhadраpada influenced music, film, etc., the theme which I would suggest that we look out for is that of divine destruction. Poorva Bhadраpada natives are commonly faced with the pull towards the seeking and gaining of material wealth and power. However, they are simultaneously deeply unsettled by the reality of what attaining these things feels like and what this gain actually means to them, when the answer to that question indeed turns out to be very little. The tragic paradox here is that this is the stage where the soul can finally put its power into actually getting what most people want and value. But then when they get it, they don't want it. It means nothing. Not anymore. This mental conflict and painful tug in extreme opposite directions is detailed and repeated over and over again throughout the works of Poorva Bhadраpada natives, where they experience a strong inclination towards the pursuit of material prosperity, and the more often than not granted wealth that is associated with this asterism. However, the disillusionment sets in when a deep, painful pushing back, which is strongly and powerfully enforced through the direct connection to Lord Shiva's power of destruction, is given access here. This is with the intention of cutting off and destroying attachments to past life karmas, but this very often manifests in the form of loathing and resentment for the attachments we once passionately pursued. Our desires, which we once entrusted to liberate and satisfy us, now make us feel empty.
This one says the culmination of a really big dream is coming true right now, the World card. I think that's probably true for you. The other thing about this, though, that can be a little challenging is sometimes when we get everything we wanted, it can be a little bit of a letdown, right?
Billy admitted her feelings about the industry, saying, "This industry is effing horrible."
Why so sad? I don't know. The world sucks. And, fame is trash. So.
I started in fashion because I loved it. And to me, I've got more cynical about it over time working with these people. And to me, there's no morals in fashion anymore at all, because people have put so much importance on fashion that all the morals have gone out of it. This clean-cut suit, I mean, that's never going to come back because people are trying too hard to be different. And it's actually, you know, to me, it's kind of sad that people put so much importance on clothes when actually all you do is wear them. And like I said, it's not going to cure you of AIDS or cancer, so let's not try to put that much importance on it.
I want to learn that it's all worth it, because it's tiring as heck, and it is worth it, and I have to remember that, because being with like fans and doing shows is way more important than being tired. Is it worth it?
The aggressive superficiality and almost like circus-like reality of fame does not sit well with this Jupiterian Nakshatra, who is, you know, expansive and authentic.
Yes. The shows make it worth it.
The shows are my 30 minutes of doing whatever I like. Sometimes it's not even worth talking about because I do it because I love it, and like I do the shows because I love the energy.
The shows and the supporters. That is something you have to remember when it doesn't feel worth it. Because a lot of it doesn't feel worth it, but then you get to the points that do make it worth it, and it's like, then it all sort of makes sense and it kind of clicks in your head. I don't, and then one word, fucking no. Judge me, please. That's what I said? Shit. I still feel that way. Totally still feel that way. But this year, I guess I just don't fucking know. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Alexander McQueen will always be considered the rebel of the fashion world. It's a reputation he gained early in his career.
You know, at the end of the day, the fundamental thing is fashion is not to be taken too seriously, and that's what I try to get across. It's not going to cure you of cancer or AIDS, it's just clothes. So don't sit there and tell me the aesthetics of a jumper because it's just there to be worn. So that's why I take the piss out of it, because they're just clothes at the end of the day, no matter what they look like. Everything's been done before, it's just the way you do it.
When I was researching this changing attitude towards money, fame, etc., it didn't cross my mind to turn to my own videos. We get on this treadmill to the stars thinking that's where we want to be. But then we get there. And then we realise that it's not what we wanted at all. And it blew my mind. So that my research remains objective and unbiased, I have to, mostly completely disregard myself, meaning I often forget that I am indeed part of this group too. And it properly shocked me, just how precisely I was describing everything I just studied from all the other natives of this nakshatra. I made this video before I knew this was a primary theme of Poorva BHADRAPADA. In fact, I had no idea that I was just narrating a great shift that was profoundly occurring within myself that would later serve as the ideal video to expand on my point. We enter into this system where we become nothing more than cogs in a huge, multifaceted corporate industry machine that just uses us. So we must look in. I remember meeting my idol and being like, oh, just a human. So, essentially what I'm trying to get at here is the idea that so many people think that they want one thing, but really those desires are not authentic. They don't come from a real place. They just were inherited from watching, shit on the television, or everyone around them wanting those things. And so when somebody is content just being what they are, having not that much, or enjoying just sitting and being and, reading a book, so many people aspire towards is to being famous or a celebrity of some sort. And what does it mean just to be known by lots of people? This is just a bit of insight that I've gained over the past couple of years, and my fiance is in Game of Thrones, which automatically puts you amongst certain people in social situations and circumstances. And these are just normal freaking people, dude. These are normal goddamn people. Everyone is just a normal freaking person, and we should stop putting people on pedestals. That's one thing, actually. I want all of my followers and all of those things to realise you don't need a leader. You don't need to be following people in terms of, looking up to them to an extreme, or like worshipping people.
These are your role models. This is your standard. You have to look like this and be like this and do this and this and this. And it changes all the time, but it's like, if it keeps changing, why does it have to be there at all?
Like, you are as impressive as it gets. You are as special and as interesting as they come. And it's this whole celebrity culture thing, I think, that it's a treadmill to the stars. You know, you're walking towards something that is, there is no end goal. There's no winners in that game. It's like rich people. Me and Stas were saying the other day, whenever we hang around with people that have like a lot of money, it's almost like this weird like silent competition, and they're all just like trying to prove to each other who's got like the fanciest like watch or car. Or, I mean, Stas just sat there like let's go home and have a tin of soup. Do you know what I mean? Some chunky bread to dip in the soup, eat it in bed, watching EastEnders. It's really soulless.
There's no training, you know, there's no like, let me go to a school that's gonna teach me how to be famous. No. Also, that would suck. That'd be like trash school. Like, no thank you.
You wouldn't make any friends there.
Hell no. Everybody'd be like, you know, it'd be like, yeah, I don't know. Famous people suck.
I almost feel in some way like money is sort of like a distraction from your soul. You know what I mean? It's almost like you can buy your way out of finding out yourself what is important. Do you know what I mean by that? I don't know, I'm waffling, bruv. I just wanted to share that. The sun's going now.
This and that. I feel like everything needs to have a certain, this is in this category and this is in this. Like, it's like, I want to be everything. Like, shut up. Don't tell me what I can't be. The hell?
This nakshatra is about breaking free from the bondage of worldly anchors. And that process is often done loudly and proudly with very little shame or apologies in doing so.
I hate rapping only because it puts you in this, like, in this box.
Ha! There he is. Doing what Jupiter does. Just expanding all over the place. Rejecting all boxes.
Do you ever plan to expand?
Does he ever plan to expand? Of course he fucking does. It's Jupiter we're talking about. The planet of expansion. Sorry.
The music industry, man. We're all sad as hell.
Hey, good morning, Kanye.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey, Kanye, are you mad at Jim Kimmel? Do you have anything to say about Jim Kimmel, Kanye? Do you think he was too much with you?
I would love to walk down the street, or just walk on the beach. I'm not trying to complain because I love show business, and I love entertainment, and I love making people happy. But there's times I want to be just normal too. I never get to know what people are really like because when they see me, they change. They're not themselves anymore. They become someone else. Oh my God, I love your music. I love your songs. Oh my God. You never get to really hear the real thing.
How's it going, Kanye?
Don't say anything to me, man. Like, stop asking me questions. You out in front of my house at 4 a.m. Talking about how's it going? It's not going good. Y'all here trying to take money out to make money off us. That's how it's going.
Jupiter, or Guru, is the guru who saves you and then slaps you. Or, he may not save you at all if he wants you to learn your lesson. He is truly compassionate, much like Saturn's style of compassion, which is through suffering that is in your best interests. But by the Vimshottari system, Saturn is connected to the second, the Uttara half of the Bhadrapadas. Real compassion isn't always nice looking and comfortable. So as wonderful and benevolent as Jupiter is often understood to be, he also has a whole other side.
I really like you.
Shut the fuck
You
up.
left
It's 4 a.m. You blood-sucking mosquito.
You left the bag right there, Kanye.
You want me to be standing out in front of your house at 4 a.m.?
They ask you a bunch of stupid ass questions.
What's the inspiration? Really, I get inspiration from meth and like, I like cats a lot, and I'm not playing.
And they could just easily go to Wikipedia and just look that up And plus, when people ask you the same questions 40 times in a row, it gets pretty annoying.
Tell me a little bit about...
Guru can be uncompromising in his conviction. Jupiter is known to be the tough teacher, the strict sage, the ruthless reverend, who rejects, refuses, and pushes back when, they feel their right to autonomy and authenticity regarding their individuality is being taken away from them. And thus, these people can be too ruthless in their pursuit of, liberating themselves from the bondages of mercurial nitpicking and label giving, and from constricting Saturnian boxes and restrictions.
What is it like to be here on such a historic night? Like, you really,
What the?
so weird.
Go to the hotel is 10 out of 10. I actually can't deal with this anymore. Go to the hotel, thank you.
Shut the fuck up! You bully! You fucking mosquito bully! Pick a profession and shit with some type of respect to it.
Have a good day now.
The difference here is that Poorva Bhadrapada is the front legs of the sacrificial altar. The Poorvas are always harsher in their approach than the Uttaras. So here the spiritual fire is raging and their words can burn. Their entire attitudes can unnerve the sensitive, or people who uphold social norms, who are invested in the repression of the people by maintaining polite conduct and enforcing rules and laws on people who have limited perspectives of life and thus blindly accept those rules, mostly unaware of the extent of their ignorance.
And aesthetic. Billie has been touted as controversial in the pop world because she challenges all that is conventional and safe in the industry.
The internet? Fucking trash.
I hate Snapchat. I hate all that shit.
You have said in the past,
Stupid. It's making kids so stupid.
Do politics interest you?
Not at all.
Poorva Bhadrapada people are often cherished for their reluctance to conform, as the empowering effect that this has on those who look up to them is significant and treasured. These people, when they suffer, their suffering often serves as like a messenger.
I just want everyone to know that it's okay to say fuck all that and follow their own path.
I like just being able to behave how I like. I like being able to not have to watch what I say or how I'm behaving in front of people. Not needing someone else's opinion to validate how you feel. Not needing to worry about if someone else is going to agree with you or if they're going to think that you're still cool after you've told them what you think. Fuck that. Like, fuck that. Your opinion is the most relevant to you. And so as long as what you're doing and the path that you're on is honest and doesn't fucking hurt anyone or anything stupid like that, and makes you happy, then you're already in heaven.
Beautiful.
No matter what little pigeonhole you may not fit into, it doesn't matter. You may not be a perfect Victoria's Secret model.
I just think models are maybe the saddest people in the world. Their job is always being looked at. That's their job.
If teardrops could be bottled, there'd be swimming pools filled by models.
You may not be a perfect Victoria's Secret model, but you are perfectly perfect for being you. And no one else, like no other cunt on this planet, pardon my French, could possibly do being you as well as you do. You're incredible at it. Best in the world. So, start owning it, because you can't change that. You're stuck with you.
You are always you, forever.
And that message of refusal to accept the limitations which have been placed on them, the message sort of catalyzes a change in their environment. For better or for worse, here it tends to be through the destruction of limiting boundaries. Just hopefully those boundaries are ones which one would want to be destroyed.
Her outspoken nature was what caused her to be called intimidating and dark.
The song's oftentimes extremely dark.
But those are the exact things that make Billie so attractive, not only as an artist, but as a product in and of herself.
Their presence is often formidable or unsettling, domineering and regal, a bit like its totem animal, which is the male lion. This is what makes them effectual leaders and, inspirational role models. Rarely, however, is this presented in a mannerly fashion.
We ain't nothing but a nation of goddamn chicken shit, horse shit, tattletale, pissy-ass, whiny, fat, flabby, out-of-shape, Facebook-looking damn twerk fest, peeking out the windows and slipping around, listening on the cell phones and spying in the peephole and peeping in the crack of the goddamn door, listening in the fucking sheetrock. Yeah, Mr. Putin, please, show some fucking mercy. I mean, come on, drop a fucking bomb, won't you? I gotta have me some tea.
I probably curse a lot.
Favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Fuck your integrity, fuck your pedigree, fuck your feeling, fuck your culture, fuck your mom, fuck your family.
Radio, fuck you! Radio, fuck you! Wait a second, you saying, hey, wait a second. Hey, is the radio fuck you? That's what you saying? Exactly.
Fuck your drive, fuck your land, fuck your children, fuck your wives.
It's your fucking life. I don't give a fuck what you do. And you best not give a fuck what I do because it's my fucking life, so fuck you, fucker.
I want to say something, can I spend £20,000? I should be able to say it. People can either take it or leave it.
Women specifically aren't being heard like they should, and their vision comes through. And here comes Billie, like, yo, this is me. I'm young, I'm 16. I'm a woman, this is me. And you're going to love it because you don't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, how... Do you realize the magnitude of just the young people and young women in general that you're going to inspire just by being able to say, fuck it, don't style me. I don't want to be who you want me to be. This is who I am, and you're going to love it.
I'm going to cry. That was, wow, thank you for that. On that note, like, people are like, you're a role model. Like, how can you say that if you're somebody who's... People are looking up to you, Billie. Like, how could you possibly say something like that? I'm like, do you know why they're looking up to me? Because I say shit like that.
You're good at it. I mean, you're a master of that, stirring it up and winding people up.
Those haters, welcome them in. Let them give you all of their energy, hating, and use it as a tool to make your skin stronger. Smile at it, laugh at them, because honestly what's going on there is you are getting a reflection of how they feel about themselves. When a hater is hating, often they are simply hating on you because you are doing something, or you are living in a way, or you are giving off a vibe that they wish they could have or do or give off. And that ain't your problem. Don't worry about what other people think about you. And that takes practice. And it's not easy, but it's fucking fundamental, because then, what are you? You're unfuckwithable. You are untouchable. And you can just carry on in your path with your fucking tunnel vision, doing what it is that you want to do, and nobody else who's not living your life and doesn't have to die when you die and look back at their life and be like, did they make themselves proud? They're not going to be doing that. They're not going to be there. You are. So you do what makes you happy. And don't listen to what anybody else says.
There is a definite tendency to be incredibly antagonistic towards their target. And in the earlier sort of refusal rejection stages can be stunningly crude, almost belligerent, playing with them, like, you know, how cats play with their prey before killing it.
Okay, now what about your lyrics?
What about them?
What are you saying in your lyrics?
Nothing. Shit to piss old white people off like you.
Is that right?
There is an enjoyment detected as they unhesitatingly push buttons that others dare not. You can observe a sort of prodding, probing, very provocative approach in their retaliation to feeling oppressed. An unflinching conviction to their approach that shocks people out of their culturally comfortable, overly democratic days. They can have a blunt, some would say rude, attitude towards figures who society would say they should respect, and regulations to which society would say they should adhere to.
His rebellious nature came out the most in his outrageous designs and provocative shows. You do enjoy stirring things up, don't you?
Oh yeah, I don't like the norm. I really don't like the norm. I don't think it's, you know, you don't move forward. Seriously, you just don't move forward if you play safe.
The way society is, they tell you it's a certain way you have to be.
You've influenced others, right?
I probably influenced some people to do some stuff, whether good or bad.
The byproduct of this attitude is that its severity has a real effect of snapping others' minds out of their societal stupors, allowing people to see where they themselves are chained and bound, you know, being shortchanged by their own adopted belief systems without even realizing.
I don't take credit.
So Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro, who are both Poorva BHADRAPADA moons, have a wonderful lifelong friendship. And here Scorsese is describing De Niro's ability to challenge other people's belief systems in order to see life in a new light, you know, with a new perspective.
Bob played some tough characters, you know, psychopaths, sociopaths, every kind of path you could think of. You know, it also has become very, very, very much of a cliche to say that an actor doesn't judge the character he or she plays. That might be the case, but I really know that in Bob's case, he does not, doesn't question it. He always, in not judging, he conveys to the audience not to judge. He always brings the audience along. He has this uncanny ability to get the viewer to empathize with some really horrifyingly unsympathetic characters, and not through easy manipulation, sentimental stuff like petting a dog, or feeding a turtle, something like that. No. He powerfully communicates the unadulterated soul of the character. And you find yourself drawn to the humanity inside the monster. He does the same thing with characters whose flaws are more familiar to us. He really can't help himself. That's what he does. I tried stopping to explain a process. I'm not even sure if they're processes, how we work together, as if it's some kind of a science. When we started working together, we just seemed to see life and ourselves in a strikingly similar way. And all I can tell you is that this collaboration, this work over the years, is all based on a profound trust.
Marty, my friend and lifelong collaborator, shukran. We made our first film together, I think it was over 45 years ago. We just wrapped our most recent picture this year. One of the great blessings of my life We worked together near the beginnings of our careers, and we're still at it. And hopefully there'll be many more to come. I can't imagine what my life would have been without that stroke of luck.
It's an incredibly difficult karma that's presented here for the soul to navigate if one doesn't have an astrological twin to ride through the lightning storm with. The intensity and eccentricity can be incredibly isolating, creating overwhelming feelings of loneliness, but from this darkness comes that single ray of light, which at the very least inspires you to think about your life a little deeper, but usually inspires, reassures and supports others who need that light shone in their lives too.
Farrell said being a young black kid, especially at that time, I was different from all my other peers. So when I've seen this dude saying that he was open to rock and jazz and skateboarding and all this other stuff I was interested in, I was gravitated toward it. Because, all right, I'm not the only black dude who's probably called weird. So you affected a lot of other people. You realize that? Yeah.
Poorva Bhadrapada's intense, sometimes extreme behaviours naturally create a potential for dislike and disapproval that in the same breath often forces an acknowledgement of some level of respect, as it is undeniable that these natives shake other people into looking at things from a new perspective, a more honest perspective.
You think all this money will make a happy me, but I'm about as lonely as crackers that supermodels eat.
It is one thing to have aspirations and goals and dreams, but what do you do when you get there? What do you do when you have reached your goal, when your aspiration has been met? Like, where do you go from there?
Darkness and lack of light allows for the cultivation of a stark but profound and archetypally relevant perspective of the world, allowing for the creation of true works of genius, tapping into the activity of Brahma's creative force that this nakshatra is channeling. This work is so powerful as it poignantly allows one to witness the function and purpose for this asterism, the sole purpose of transforming the soul, purging its demons, paying penance and acknowledging the innate power that lies within the self and how to use it wisely. Our modern world and culture and society is not shaped in a way that holds and supports the spiritual growth and knowledge bestowed here. The spiritual fire which gives radiance and knowledge often just alienates and isolates the native instead, as they exist to raise the evolutionary level of mankind, but the true requirements for this are not congruent with the flaky and shallow epidermis that covers such a high percentage of humanity at this time. Meaning, the extraordinary power awarded here, which is best used to defend, protect, and pave the new way for others to follow, is instead misused to fill the powerful vacuum that forms when that power is utilized for the fulfillment of selfish desires and indulgences. This, of course, makes for fantastic works of art to spring from this particularly devastating predicament. An alternative symbol for this asterism is a single ray of sun or a single ray of light. This reflects the powerful darkness that pervades, but also the ray of light which provides the hope, which is faint but detected by Poorva Bhadrapada people. If we take a little look at Kendrick Lamar's album artwork for his track Humble, it's almost eerie how this exact theme is portrayed.
I'm building a still to slow down the tide. I'm up in the woods.
We also find this palpable discomfort with money and power, fame, and all that springs from that babbling brook of bullshit when we inspect the work of Tyler, the Creator.
Jesus called, he said he's sick of the disses. I told him to quit bitching, it says in a fucking hotline.
Tyler is a truly fantastic and comprehensively suitable embodiment of Poorva Bhadrapada's essence, with a plethora of songs and videos which are literally brimming with accidentally, or rather unconsciously, inserted references to the themes of this nakshatra.
I'm a fucking walking paradox. No, I'm not.
And a brilliant snapshot of a mind carrying its inclinations forth into the world unashamedly and unapologetically for all to see. The video and lyrics of his track Yonkers truly speak for themselves. Tyler explains that Yonkers is meant to be a conversation between him and his white, evil, swagged out alter ego Wolf Haley. I'm a fucking walking paradox. No, I'm not. Is a supremely befitting line which captures the contradictory behaviours and inclinations of Poorva Bhadраpada so laconically. In fact, every line of this song contradicts itself. There is a repeated appearance of either a channeled or a consulted alter ego within this asterism. Kendrick has the voice that goes something like, yeah, listen to me, Kendrick.
Open your mind up and listen to me, Kendrick. I'm in your conscience. If you do not hear me, then you will be history, Kendrick.
Tyler has Wolf Haley.
How she do that there? Who that boy? Who him is? Who that boy? Who him is?
John Wayne Gacy, the serial killer who would dress up as a clown before committing his heinous crimes, would dress up as a clown, thus having two personalities, one that was the family man and one that was a fucking crazy murderer.
Acting like some bitches like they fucking with you. Teeth is glisten, Jesus Christmas, he just shit and she exquisite. Bitches be expensive, and I don't even need attention. Wing sap on the bumper sticker, fuck you niggas.
Fuck global warming, my neck is so frio. I'm currently looking for 95 Leo. My mom's.
The New York Times writes in 1979, after his arrest, that Gacy was an affable, driven businessman, a hard-working, outgoing, community-spirited man next door. His own sister was also interviewed in that story, saying what a shock it was that her brother was in some respects a living demon. He is just a normal person, she said. My mother just can't believe it. All she does is cry. Anyway, the married couple worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises in Waterloo. He got involved in all kinds of community work, and at one point was the vice president of the local United States Junior Chamber, also known as JC's. He raised funds and was admired by the community. During his 3-month stint working as a mortuary assistant in Las Vegas, Gacy said that he would sleep in the embalming room. One day, he said he got into a coffin with a dead teenage boy and hugged the cadaver until a feeling of almighty disgust took over him.
What the hell is that? Creating a head bandage? What is this? This is like a mortician book.
Okay, so this is just about where things start to get a little bit weird, if you're not Poorva Bhadраpada.
I've been like fascinated with like, oh.
Yeah, this isn't a joke. Kim Kardashian is obsessed with death, but so are all Poorva Bhadраpada people.
I know death is such a morbid topic, but I'm like obsessed. I just want to prepare myself for when that time comes, and I also try to not make it such a morbid, scary thing. I think that I want to take it a step further and like meet with a mortician. Okay. I'm just like so curious what the process is. I'm gonna call Mario and see if he'll go with me. Wait, I got a mortician book. It's so fascinating. Their whole thing is like color correcting.
Oh my god, will you send me pictures of that? I want to get that book.
Yeah, no, you're literally going to want this book. No, Mario and I are fascinated.
Death and murder. Hi, Mario.
No, it's not about murder, you idiot. It's about makeup for dead people.
I just saw how to sew up your skull in one of the chapters.
Sometimes Kim is so ridiculous.
Yeah. Maybe if you're not Poorva Bhadраpada. But we think it's cool.
I mean, she gets obsessed.
Yeah, same, hun.
Okay, we gotta go to mortuary school. When you come in town. Okay, bye. Bye.
When I started doing research for this video, I never imagined that I would come across such a perfectly paradoxical, ridiculous contrast situation like you're about to see.
Kim?
That, my friends, is the look of a Poorva Bhadраpada native in their element. Look at her little fucking face. You could not write this shit.
It's fine. She didn't say hi. I mean, she's breathing, so.
Listen to that disappointment.
She's not dead. Right. So.
So? Disappointed.
So where are you going to put the highlighter? On her
Just
cheek?
like on her cheeks, so it makes it glow a little bit.
Yeah, I can't believe what I'm watching either. So it makes it glow a little bit, he said.
Direct a little bit.
So would you use it directly?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll do one side, you do the other side.
That's amazing. Beautiful.
The fascination for death and all of that kind of stuff doesn't always manifest as a desire to become a mortician. It can just manifest as a unusual level of coolness and detachment and acceptance and peace and just lack of bother towards the whole subject, issue, panic, whatever that most people have surrounding death.
I'm gonna die one day, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest.
What
If
doesn't?
everything, nothing matters. Dude, like, that's like what I say about everything. Like,
I think some stuff matters.
Nothing matters.
Love matters.
it matters while you're there, but eventually you're dying and then nothing matters and whatever. Something that makes me just, I don't know, makes me feel, I don't know if it makes me feel better or just like warmer or it just keeps me up is, which is a weird thing. The fact that I'm gonna die one day and that everyone around me is gonna die and no one will remember me after a certain point makes me feel so good.
Spoken like a true Poorva Bhadраpada.
Like, because I could do the best thing in the world and nobody would remember it ever and I'll die and it won't matter and everyone else around me will die and it won't matter. Or I could do the worst thing in the world and that won't matter because I'll die eventually. So you don't really have to worry that much.
That's
Obviously,
beautiful.
don't hurt anybody. Don't like harm yourself.
That's nice to hear. I think more people need to think that way.
Listen to how high his voice was. Liar.
I think about it all the time.
I'm sure you do.
That's like the remedy to anxiety, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. She knows.
What's good, fellow spirit vehicles? How are you doing? It's Clara. This is Spirit Vehicle. And it's time to talk about death.
Well, what can I say? Your girl loves death. I'm kidding. I grew up in a house called Cemetery Lodge and my voice just found death and cemeteries and everything really beautiful. I don't know if you guys noticed, but death is even in my intro.
Thank you for being here. We're going to talk about death today.
I mean, what is that face? And so I go on having the time of my life talking about death. So, the similarities between myself and Billie Eilish are strange. I'd never heard of her before doing research for this video, but I was shocked by how much she reminded me of myself. This is an interview I did maybe 5 years ago now about my music, and it very much highlights the contradictory nature of this nakshatra in the sense that there is this fascination for death but an innate understanding that death is the doorway to life, as we both here say pretty much the same thing in pretty much the same way, and the point that we're both getting at is about bringing something to life. It's about creating something somewhere else, somewhere that we deem to be dead or in need of life. The duality in this nakshatra is profound. It really is where humans come to balance the dual aspects of their nature. We're both very tomboyish as well. We both, I mean, I could have done my hair a little bit, couldn't I? Look at the state of me, wearing a Van Halen top. This is how I am, I guess. I'm just not very sort of girly. I'm very womanly, but I'm very in touch with my masculine side, and I can see that she is in exactly the same way. And I think that's what this nakshatra very much represents. The deity being the Vedic version of
Baphomet, the god who is controversial, yet symbolizing the balancing of the two polarities or dualities, man, woman, light, dark, yin, yang. The fact that that is the deity for this nakshatra says a lot. It says a lot. I'll let you guys make your own minds up about this, but it's pretty cool, it's pretty crazy. This is why I love astrology. You realize that we are just, different concentrations and different variations of the same things. It's a pretty cool feeling.
You can write something, and it's all very well writing something and having it in your book or on your phone. So for me, like writing like a letter or a poem or a song, it's all very well having it on my phone, but if I then put it online and share it, and someone else doesn't know how that feels but can feel what I'm feeling through what I've written, that brings it alive, that makes it into the art that it's supposed to be.
People don't realize your art makes art, it can hit people, and you don't know when or where or who or how, but if you don't ever put it out there, then nobody can be hit by it, and then nobody can create something out of it. And I think it's important to just get it out there, because there's gonna be somebody that gets something from it, even if everybody hates what you're doing, if one person likes it, you're creating art in that person's brain.
Well, if those two people in a field too,
if those two people in a field of 8 people likes my song, I'm good.
And it was always just my thing that it's it sounds cheesy, but my escape, I guess. If I was feeling too much emotion, I'd go and write about it, and it was a good way of channeling that frustration and teen angst. Do you know what I mean?
I luckily had music. If I didn't have music, everything would be so bad.
Music ends up being a way to create something beautiful out of ugly emotions. It makes the suffering worth it because it's a sacrifice, and sacrifice for a higher cause is what these people innately understand the value of and necessity for.
Now listen, a lot of people who get up here and sing, I know it's fun, it's a lot of fun. It's fun for me. I get my feelings off through my music. But listen, you got your life wrapped up in it, and it's very difficult to come out here and lay something down. Give us some respect. Maybe I'm kind of weird, but when I'm sitting up here and playing and I hear all those people growling out there and people saying, Joni, smile for Amsterdam and stuff, it really puts me uptight and I forget the words and then I get nervous and it's really a drag. So, I don't know what to say. Just give me a little help, will you? So that I
can... James Cameron, the film Titan, Titanic pun intended, perfectly mirrors Poorva Bhadrapada's deep motivation to plant seeds and set fires alight in the minds of others.
To a future filmmaker, for every 1,000 that read this, 1 will become a filmmaker. You will do it because you can't not do it. Your film must speak to many with a singular voice. Ask yourself what you have to say, and then say it in ways that are unique to you. Let your film surprise you. Enjoy the twists and turns. Recognize when lightning strikes, even if it's not what you planned. Be quick to bottle it. Every film is a singular vision and a great collaboration. Always stay humble before the craft. On your 100th film, there will be much to learn. And the most important thing, pick up a camera and get going. Make a film and put your name on it. Now you're a filmmaker. Jim Cameron.
There have been multiple scandalous rumours lit up about many of the natives of this nakshatra, some of them true, some of them untrue. However, the theme that is most undeniable is the intensity, the conviction with which life is lived.
and the profoundness of the degree to which life is felt and taken in and breathed and held and known, be it through the medium of anger, frustration, sorrow, joy, the joy of feeling understood, the tragedy of feeling misunderstood, resentment, adoration, devotion, silliness, contentment, peace. Whatever it is, it means something. It means something that you will never see with your eyes. But you can be sure these people feel with all of their soul.
Bitch, I know guac is extra.
I think the ultimate, tragic paradox for Poorva Bhadrapada is that while so much is happening outside, and yet it offers no real fulfillment or, sense of contentment from it, it ends up with us feeling empty inside. And, yet at the times when we actually feel full and alive, just at home, listening to music or experiencing something profound, there appears to be very little happening on the outside. And so there's this tearing in twain from what feels like two magnetic fields pulling us in both directions, but every time we pick a side, we feel like we're missing something. When, all of what we once looked to for happiness no longer means anything, there's suddenly a sense of that being, because we realize that we are that thing, and that's such a powerful explosion, or rather implosion of energy, that's too difficult to describe, and even harder for others to understand or interpret accurately. Because everything means nothing, and nothing means everything. Everything is totally fucked and backwards, but we kind of like it here. Like the Hanged Man, the tarot card. It's a new perspective. Different perspective. The only time that it genuinely feels like we have no soul, genuinely, is when the outside world is demanding one from us, or telling us what or who or how to be, or when we're trying to find ourselves outside of ourselves, when inwardly we know this world is ours, and that's as much as we are the world's. They're two interdependent, mutually responsible phenomena that very much appear to be everything that they are not, and all that one may assume they are not, they may well be. But then Poorva Bhadrapada people are exactly what they appear to be at the same time, and so you see the issue here. The shadow that's stopping others from being able to properly see us is the sadness. There's a definite sorrow. It's painful. It's like a torturous sadness almost, and that is often what then creates the destruction, being the means for creativity, like the end making the beginning. And it's that extreme balancing of such opposites that gets a creative tension going that's often, unbelievably visceral, and really allows one to tangibly experience whatever emotion it was that created that piece of art, like it was their own experience. It's a rawness, that's not for everybody. But for those who are sick of all the pretense, it's cathartic and liberating and validating rawness, and that's because it's fucking honest. When a Poorva Bhadrapada native speaks from a liberated place where they're not repressing themselves or masking their true face, it's cutting and unapologetic honesty. And unapologetic honesty is what's most powerful and endearing here, because by taking the two faces and learning to love and accept and take care of both, a third is made. A new face is created, and that one is the one which everybody else sees and recognizes to be this special type of authentic that we find here, even if we don't see it, because we almost definitely still won't see it. It's an incredibly difficult karma that's presented here for the soul to navigate its way through the lightning storm of Poorva Bhadrapada. The eccentric and sometimes darker strain of intensity can be incredibly isolating, creating overwhelming feelings of loneliness. But from this darkness comes that single ray of sunlight, which at the very least inspires you to think about your life a little deeper, but more often goes a long way to inspire, reassure and support others who see that all is just not what it seems in this life, and that our culture has gravely misunderstood and distorted the requirement for darkness, so as to understand a fundamental part of oneself in order to be able to then activate one's own ray of inner sunlight too. Instead, we are taught to project a false light, placing the utmost importance on the cultivation of fleeting and temporary things. The value systems which are taught to us being built on misguided ideals and hungry delusions, more often than not causing one to become confident in our ignorance and cocky about our position in life. And so we frantically build these castles in the sand, our Rahuvian nature, uncontrolled and overwhelming our Ketu wisdom, instead consuming as much abundance as we can fit in our wide open mouths, and how this constellation supports such an endeavour. But after all, this is Poorva Bhadrapada, which is a shortcut to the painful peek behind the curtain of the divine land of Maya. All that beauty and glamour that we emphatically aggrandized the virtue of. Here, Jupiter reminds us not to worry about that for now, as that is the domain of Venus, who is a guru to the demons. Venus's beauty being so charming that it's able to, grip their attention and overwhelm their senses, but is physical beauty not tragically fleeting and often incredibly deceptive? Okay, how about all that intelligence that we spent great portions of our life cultivating through study, intellectualizing it into certificates and titles? Scholarly works of brain power unparalleled. Jupiter reminds us that's the domain of Mercury, who is skilled and has an impressive ability to learn and repeat information. But is knowing something, enough when it's not rooted in something a little deeper? Jupiter meets us for the last time in this nakshatra, where rather than helping our eyes with something to look at, which in turn activates our minds, or rather than helping our minds with something to know, which in turn activates the potential for ego or pride, He helps our souls with something that we can understand and internalize. Vision and knowledge must be grounded in understanding in order for wisdom to be grown. True gnosis can only be attained once we have gone through the stages of being so incredibly sure of ourselves and what we think we know. And once we've passed through the arena of experiencing what it is we think we want from life, we've reached a point where the road suddenly reaches a dead end and we turn back and see the world and our idea of it for what it is. An utterly perfect disaster. The height of Jupiterian energy makes itself felt in this constellation, and as much as you may not like it, it doesn't care. It's an undeniable force which, when grabbed hold of, takes you to new heights. Jupiter is expansive, Brahma is creative, meaning, as ugly as it may seem or as displeasing as it may appear to some, the perspective that is granted as a result of heeding the lessons taught here is inspiring in its liberating qualities, irrevocable in its view of the world, and intimate in the sense that it allows you to feel, know, understand, and properly hold your own experience with what it is that he is purveying, as the only way to ever properly see something is to see it not for what it represents symbolically, and the only way to ever properly know something is not to know it through the medium of another person's experience, but rather the greatest lesson by Jupiter, the guru to the gods, is to understand that everything you wish to know or learn or see or comprehend must unequivocally originate from within and be rooted in personal experience through the unlocking of one's untapped source of infinite wisdom, which is that of the universe and all of its parts, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and not denying the existence of the universe and all of its parts too residing within you. Once this duality is seen for what it is, however painful and tormenting that may be, life can begin to be lived in a way which no longer allows for meaningless suffering, as even the darkest, most horrific aspects of life and death have profound meaning when seen from a perspective that Ajayagabad teaches through Jupiter's energies here. Truth is not for the weak or faint-hearted, and any righteous, moralistic types soon meet challenges which shake tightly held ideas, no matter how lofty and assumedly correct they may be. Here we learn that it is possible to do it all, to be it all, to be a creator in our own right, to embody godliness and exercise our own creative power in all of its force, while still being incredibly human and no longer denying either of those facts. That we are both man and God, human and divine, light and dark, everything and nothing. And that what the implications of that and how far and deep the fruits of this understanding can run is why this constellation is so feared and often misunderstood or demonized. However, I would like to finish on this point, that despite its reputation and what one may assume, this is not a Rakshasic, nor a Butcher, nor a Tamasic Nakshatra, meaning it's not one of the demonic Nakshatras, nor is it of the violent Butcher caste, and its guna or quality is not Tamasic and thus hindering, ignorant, or obstructive, with fear interpreting our experience and stability hindering our growth. Instead, it is human, meaning it can draw from the higher or lower realms. It is of the priestly caste, meaning these people are the natural guides, teachers, and preachers to others, and its guna is sattvic, which means the essence of this nakshatra's motivations is balance, awareness, inspiration, and illumination. Illuminating minds with that single ray of light, showing them the way to igniting their own so as to rise from the deep pools of darkness in which many people find themselves at such a fascinating and complex stage in human history.